Okay, so this time we're going to go ahead and look at creating melee weapons in Unity and creating some enemies that we can destroy. So first up, we need to make a weapon that we want to swing. I don't have any weapons on hand and we don't have a swinging animation, but we can actually just create all of that in Unity. To show you, I'm going to right click on our player. Let's create a 3D game object. We'll make it a cube. Make that nice and small, like a kind of like a pizza box. We're just gonna attack, and we kind of wanted to swing it in an arc. Here's the problem though: if I change the rotation of our cube, so if I just do like this and I rotate it, it rotates in place. But we want it to rotate around the character, the player itself. So there's something we can do. If I create an empty and I put the cube as a child of that empty, and then I rotate that. Our empty game object axis point is in the middle of our player. So when I rotate that, the entire thing rotates as we want it to. So now to actually create the animation of that. So in the bottom right here, the bottom left, my bad, you'll see the animation tab I've opened up. You can go to Windows, Animation, and then Animation if you want to open that up. And then you can see to begin animating a game object, you got to create an animator and an animation clip. So I'm going to rename this to Weapon. I'm going to rename this to Melee Box. And then in Weapon here, I'm going to click Create. We'll go to Assets, Animations. We'll name it Weapon Animation. You can type that in yourself, but I have some leftovers. Go ahead and delete those, actually. We'll delete all of these. Let me delete all of these. I was messing around a bit earlier. So let's do that again. Create an animation clip. We'll call it Weapon Animation. Okay, so now we have a clip we can mess around with. Question is, how do we actually animate? Well, there's this neat little button here that will enable your keyframe recording. So we can add like a property and stuff here. So if I click on Weapon, and I click Add Property, we want to change the transform of this, its rotation. We want that to be something we want to carry about. So at the very beginning, if I click on that keyframe, switch this to 45, you'll see that the last one here, its keyframe is 0. If I make this negative 45, you can see that this animation, if I click play, oh, got 2 keyframes, so I don't want that one. There we go. You'll see that it will create as we want. Ooh, over here, this point, it should be negative 45. Make sure that point 45, right? So if I click play now, it swings it. It's, however, kind of slow. I'm going to uncheck enable key mode. I don't want it to record any more properties right now, but I can actually just grab this keyframe and drag it over. If I want it to be like 15 seconds, really quick swing, we can do something like that. Alright, now we have our weapon animation. We just have to be able to figure it out. So let's go ahead and do that now. So if I right click here, do create, we'll make a C# script, call this player attack. And we're going to say, open this, Unity, thank you. In our update, if we do if input dot get mouse button down, the left click button, we're going to say attack. So what we can do is that we can do this, right? If we go to our animator for our weapon, one moment, I gotta restart my Unity. Okay, Unity's restarted. If I click on player, go to weapon, and I click on the animator, you can see that we have a single animation. So if I click play, it's just going to be playing nonstop. We don't want that to happen. Instead, we're just going to do public game object weapon. That'll be our melee weapon. And this will be a reference to our melee weapon. And we're going to do something called a coroutine. What a coroutine is basically thinking of it as like a separate thread. Something that will run different or asynchronously to the rest of our program. we're just going to call it, and it's going to be like a function that's just going to play without. And it can be time based and time sensitive. Since now we wanted our animation to finish, or our weapon to stop after it's finished with its animation. So what we can do is a private IEnumerator. IEnumerator says this is a coroutine. IEnumerator melee attack. And now we're going to do this. And you can see it's like complaining about something. That's because we need to input a yield return new wait for seconds. And this basically means we wanted to wait for a single second and then do rest of the code, right? We're going to have some code here, wait a second, rest of code. So with that in mind, what we can do is if we want this animation to play once and only once. So first I'm going to go to our project, go to animations on a weapon, uncheck loop time, so we want it to play once, and then we'll say this: if input.getMouse button down 0 and melee weapon dot is active. If it's not active, then we want to activate it. So we'll do start coroutine melee attack, and we'll handle all the activations here. So we'll do melee weapon dot set active true. Basically means we want this to be active in the scene. By default, it will be unchecked. So we want to set active true, and then we want it to wait for a certain amount of time. Now we can get the time from this animation. So melee weapon dot get component animator. So we're getting the animator component on melee weapon. Then what we want to do is get current animator clip info. So we're getting the current clip that's on in the first index. This returns an array, so we have only one clip we want to get, and then we can get the clip from there, dot clip of that, and then the length. And that is the time of the clip, and then we can just wait for that time to be finished, and then we'll do melee weapon dot set active false. So why don't we go check that out? First off, we need to put in the player attack script, so player attack. The melee weapon is none. We'll drag in our weapon and let's hit play. Doesn't play automatically. I press left click, it plays. Oh, that's interesting. Our player animator is not working anymore. Wonder what happened there. Huh. Oh, that's because I accidentally deleted our player animator. I'll fix that at some point. It shouldn't take any time. That'll be after this video. I'll fix that. So we have our weapon. We press that, and it checks. We have a small problem though. So if I hit this thing, we get damage, right? For some reason, when I hit it with my weapon, it counts as my being a part of the player. Now the reason that is because this melee box has a box collider on it, and our player for audio and health counts all the colliders of its children too on those triggers as well. We don't want that to happen. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to first make this a trigger, but I'm also going to add a component, rigid body. I'm going to make this a kinematic rigid body. So now the collisions for this melee weapon is going to count differently. Oh, uncheck that. Uncheck weapon. Click play again. Go forward. Hit it. And now we're fine. We get hit, but our weapon does not. Okay. So, we got that. Now we're going to look at making an enemy. So let's go ahead and make like another capsule. 3D object capsule. We'll call this one enemy. I don't know why it's way over there. Let's go ahead and fix that. Zero it out first. Send it this way. Move it up. And we'll create a material for him. Create material. Enemy. change the albedo to make them pink. Bring that in. Okay, now that we got that, we want to, next up, actually make it so that way our enemy has health and can be destroyed. This is rather simple. It's going to be basically very similar to our player health script, but specifically enemy. So enemy health. Let's go in here. Go to player health and just copy paste all of this up to decrease health. Put it in. We'll remove the health bar because enemies don't need health bars. Remove all these. We can remove the debugs too. We don't need those. And this is a bare bones kind of deal. And then and decrease health because we want our enemy to be destroyed after they're gone to 0. We'll call destroy game object. The game object that this is on. But these add health, decrease health things are added actually on the damage dealer. You can see that we already have one for player health, but we need another one for enemy health. If you're doing this in a proper game, we would originally want to make health a parent class that derives from model behavior and then make children of that class for player health and enemy health. So that way you can do this one line and not have to worry about anything else. But for a tutorial, doing it like this is fine. So enemy health. So we'll do that, call this enemy health. Let's make this an else statement. And then we'll pop this here. So this will be other. Okay. And then on enemy, we want to add in the enemy health script we just created. They'll have a max health of, we'll make it 40. And then weapon melee box, this requires a damage dealer script. And the damage amount we want, let's say it does 20 points of damage. So after 2 hits, our enemy should be destroyed. So we got 1 hit, and then a 2nd hit, and it's gone. And now we have a way to interact with our enemies and destroy them. See you guys in the next one.